Welcome to Wrestling Junkie, and today we have our second annual award show. This year we are doing a little bit different. Last year we only did WWE. This year we are including AEW. So obviously have a little bit difference in some awards. Obviously, just there's a lot of moments that happened this year, so it kind of took a bit more time than we thought it would, just because so much stuff is happening, and there's still stuff happening, and with the World's End and just timing everything we wanted to do before the end of the year. But yeah, to not waste any time, going straight into things, and our first award is Rising Star. And who do you have for your Rising Star?
For my Rising Star, I have an AEW guy, and it's going to be Swerve Strickland. He definitely deserves it. He obviously just came off of a huge match with Adam Page recently.
Doing really well in the Continental Classic as well.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are going to be excited to see him, what he does next year for sure.
Yeah, he was my number 2. I was really torn between him and the guy I am going to pick. It's just, I just think the other guy has been at the top pretty much the entire year, I would say. And my pick is LA Knight. This time last year, people were just starting to know him, and he just started turning into the LA Knight character again. So seeing where he was last year to now is like crazy, because he was a guy feuding with what's it called, Top Dollar's faction and stuff like that. So yeah, just crazy year. Now he's had a match with Roman Reigns, and now he's going to a feud with like AJ Styles and Randy Orton. So very good year for both of those men. Yeah. Next up, we have our Workhorse Award. Now, this could be however you really want to describe it. But for me, I'm going with Orange Cassidy. Him and the International Champion. He had a lot of matches this year and has had consistently great matches. So yeah, that's my pick.
And so for me, I have Seth Rollins as my guy. He's just defended the belt all year long. Not only that, but he also I'm pretty sure hasn't taken a pin like all year. I'm pretty sure they said that on commentary this past Raw at least.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's just kind of crazy to see all the matches that he's been through, all the title defenses he's had. He's still on every Raw on top of all of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have Seth Rollins, and if I had to give a second one, I would honestly probably pick Dominic, because he seems to be on every episode of Raw. He still shows up on NXT, still shows up on SmackDown. Apparently, from what I've been seeing, he's on a lot of house shows as well. He's about to do a big house show versus CM Punk.
Yeah.
So they're obviously trying to put the rocket on him and send him to the moon. So I'd probably pick him if I didn't pick Seth.
Yeah, my other picks were John Moxley and Gunther. I think both of them just have phenomenal years. It's just, for me, I think Orange Cassidy did really well and just really helped the mid-card title. But next up, we have Best Non-Wrestler. So these are your commentators, your announcers, backstage roles. So who do you have for this one?
So for this one, have a maybe surprising one, but I have Adam Pearce. I feel like he's just been doing a really good job. He was obviously the general manager of Raw and SmackDown for majority of the year. Just recently, Nick Aldis recently got the SmackDown position. But all year, he's been good on camera. He's been good developing these matches. I don't know how much of a hand he really has in that, but I'm sure he does have a hand in it, But yeah, he's been doing a good job all year for Raw, and shout out to Adam Pearce.
Yeah, he plays the role really well, and I think it's a great spot for him to be at right now. But for my Best Non-Wrestler, I have Samantha Irvin. She is arguably probably a top 3 ring announcer in my opinion already, and she's only been doing it for a few years. She puts a lot of emotion and a lot of just everybody gets like a custom kind of an entrance. You get Chelsea Green, how she says that. LA Knight gets a bit more like umph in it, So yeah, I'm very happy that she is also recognized by a lot of people now. It's like one of the best already. My other picks was Prince Nana with Swerve Strickland. He was phenomenal. Really just a great comedy role to Swerve's seriousness. And my other pick was Paul Heyman. The main reason I didn't pick him was just because of not being on camera as much. Obviously, he's during the build to WrestleMania, but after that, we haven't seen him as much. But next up, we have Funniest Moment. And what do you have for this one?
For this one, you just mentioned one of the people who's involved in this moment, but it's the Adam Page telling Nana he's gonna beat his ass and steal his weed. It was just very recently, so maybe it's recency bias or something, but I don't care. It was really funny. And yeah, I've watched that clip quite a few times now. Yeah. It's just hilarious.
Yeah, this is reactions as well when he says it. It also just helps it even more. But for my funniest moment, I have Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes coming into the Fastlane post press conference drunk. That's where we got a lot of memes. Twitter was going crazy that night, and ever since then we still have memes being used. So I think it was just hilarious. And you seen Cody just trying to keep Jey in line, like Jey was just all over the place. And
the start of the yeet.
Yeah.
All right, and then for our next one, we have a Rookie of the Year. And this one, I have Dragon Lee. He's just been doing good pretty much consistently all year, but especially towards the later half of the year. Recently became the NXT champion. And yeah, he's just been doing really good. Recently, he's been a lot more over, I guess. He's had pay-per-view matches now and all kinds of, awesome things that you didn't see him in previously. So I have Dragon Lee.
Yeah, and for my next pick, I have Julia Hart. Now, I understand she has wrestled matches in 2021 and last year as well, but for me, I just think this year she's really shown how good she is and how much she's improved. And I think she has a bright future. I think she can probably be moving into the main women's, the AEW women's title soon, or not soon, but like probably in a few months, I would say. And yeah, I think she just has a lot of potential to keep growing, and she plays the manager role very well with House of Black when she's with them, and yeah, I just really enjoy her stuff. But next up, we have Feel Good Moment of the Year, and what do you have for this one?
So for this one, as a lot of people may know, two of my favorite women in all of wrestling period is Io Sky and Liv Morgan. Those are two of my favorites. Last year, I had, for this one, I'm pretty sure I had Liv winning Money in the Bank or winning the title, one of the two. And this year, I get to do the other, and it's Io Sky. She wins the belt. It was just a super cool moment. You could tell the excitement of her, and she was genuinely excited to have the belt. She was just kind of just staring at it in her hands, crying in the ring, basically. And it was a huge moment for her. She was really everybody's favorite. Everyone wanted her to win that night for sure. And she hasn't let anyone down while being champion. So yeah, that's mine.
Yeah, for mine, I have a split on this one, and it's kind of the same thing, but it's Zelina Vega and Sami Zayn's entrance in their hometown. Obviously, Sami in Montreal, when he came out, he got huge chants, and it was really heartwarming just because he's finally the big star that we all know he can be and should have been this entire time. And then Zelina Vega in Puerto Rico at Backlash, she just got an amazing ovation, and apparently that match was supposed to be a squash match, but after they seen the reaction, they kind of caught an audible, I heard, and they kind of just let her be have more of a chance in the match. But just a really nice moment, and she can see she enjoyed that moment, and so did Sami as well. So that's my pick. Next up, we have Best Return. Now, this one is probably pretty obvious for both of us, but who do you have?
Yeah, I have CM Punk. It's CM Punk at the end of the day. We had a lot of huge returns this year. We had CM Punk, we had Randy Orton, we had Edge, not a return, but returning to wrestling, I guess you could say. Going to AEW. Kairi Sane returning. Just so much going on. CM Punk is CM Punk. The moment was huge, so yeah.
Yeah, I've also had CM Punk, but my other two was Kairi Sane, just because it was a bit unexpected. On the day I heard the rumors was going on that it could be as soon as Crown Jewel, so I was like, okay, I'm hoping for it, but I'm not expecting it. And when I did see her, I was really excited. And my number 3 was Cody Rhodes, just because it was a return from his big injury, and I have it so low only because it was very obvious and they kind of pre-announced it, so I wasn't as excited for it. But obviously, some great returns this year. But next up, we have Hardcore Moment of the Year. Now, for me, this was all dominated by AEW. What was your pick?
Alright, so for my pick, once again, mentioning this guy just to show how great of a year that he's had. And it's Swerve Strickland. and Adam Page. They had a Texas death match, is what it was called, I believe. And Adam Page drinks the blood of Swerve on national TV. And yeah, it was just the most insane thing. Some people, I get, they don't like that type of stuff, is weird, or they don't whatever. But I do. So yeah, if we're talking about most hardcore moment, that has to be up there.
Yeah, that was my number one as well. My second and third pick or number two was Jon Moxley having the skewers in his head at All Out, and it was just or All In, my bad, and just a crazy moment. I think that was like a very popular like stunt in like Japanese death matches and stuff like that. But seeing it on Jon Moxley is like insane and makes sense that it's Jon Moxley. No. My other one is when Kenny Omega gets whipped into the bed of nails at Blood and Guts, and after he gets whipped into it, the bed of nails falls right onto him as well, which was just, you can see he immediately it scratches him and he immediately just starts holding his arm, just holding it, because obviously I'm sure that wasn't easy to take. But yeah, hardcore moments pretty much dominated by AEW this year.
Yeah.
But next up, we have best title change, and who do you have for this one?
So for this one, I think I originally was going to go with Chelsea Green. Not that it was like just a huge moment or anything, but for me at least, I didn't really know who she was before this, and then she just kind of, to me at least, kind of randomly started just getting like a little push, and then got the tag team titles with Piper, and ever since then I feel like she's just been a star to me, and I just love the character of Chelsea Green, so I can see why a lot of people might not put her, but I think I actually will go with Chelsea Green. And if I wasn't going with her, I'd probably say Logan Paul, just because, big moment for him, big moment of him saving Ray, and yeah.
Yeah, for my best title change, I had Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens at WrestleMania this year. Sami Zayn main eventing his first WrestleMania, and then Kevin Owens in his back-to-back WrestleManias. Just a great moment. Two best friends for life, basically, who came up together in the business and finally got to share the moment, winning the tag team belts, and an amazing storyline in the build-up, and then Sami finally getting the payoff of all his hard work he had in the Bloodline storyline. So for me, that's just mine. But next up, we have best promo, and what do you have for this one?
For mine, I have another AEW pick, and it's going to be Eddie Kingston's Responsibility of a Champion promo. Super recent, but you could tell that like he really meant what he was saying. It didn't seem like it was something that was like written down. It seems like he just speaking from the heart when he was saying it. Yeah. And maybe I'm getting worked, obviously, but I mean it was really good. It fits his character perfectly, and I feel like he got his point across, like, the way he could, kind of talking about potentially Roman. Didn't name names, obviously, but kind of talking about Roman. He's seeing champions not defend their titles, not show up to shows. He's saying that tonight or the following week he was going to defend both of his titles on the same night, and he said he just doesn't have respect for the people who doesn't show up. Could be talking about Roman, could be talking about anybody, who knows, but
Yeah, for my best promo, this is going back towards the build to the Mania match between Cody and Roman, and it's Cody and Paul Heyman in the ring, and Cody takes a second and just like, he thanks Paul Heyman because Paul Heyman helped his family, he helped Dusty find himself back in wrestling, and basically the story is just Dusty he wasn't very rich at the time, and they were going pretty much poor, and ECW called him to just do one booking, and he would pay him as well, and Dusty did it, and after that moment, kind of helped rejuvenate Dusty's passion and just feet into the wrestling business again, because this is around, I think it was like 2000, I want to say, maybe 1999, I want to say, I don't really know, but yeah, just, it made Paul Heyman cry, so you can tell it's just real emotion, and it is a really emotional moment. I really enjoyed that. But next up, we have best heel this year. A lot of good picks. Who do you have, though?
I think for mine, like some people may not agree with, but if you really watch it, I feel like you probably would. And that's Christian Cage. Some of the stuff he says is just so off the wall. Talking about people's parents, period, their fathers especially. He's hitting people's mothers on TV. He's just doing the most, and he just seems like he's having a blast being a heel right now. Yeah. Him and Edge both seem like they're both just having the time of their life right now in AEW, just putting on a show for everyone. And yeah, I'm gonna go with Christian Cage. He's just been insane all year, and his match has been really good as well.
Yeah, I'm also going Christian Cage. Similar, what you said. Just he plays the role of being a dickhead really well. And it's honestly probably his best work he's ever had. Just phenomenal in ring, on the mic he's great. But my second pick probably would have been MJF, but since he kind of flip flopped, where half the year he was a heel, other half of the year he's been a face. So I was just like, I'll give it to Christian. He's been basically a heel the entire time.
If it wasn't for Christian, I probably would have went with Dominic myself, probably.
Yeah. But next up, we had the heel. Let's go with the face. And who do you have for this one?
For this one, I have LA Knight. That's kind of why I didn't give him a previous award. I forget which one it
Rising
was.
Star?
Yeah, Rising Star. I didn't give him that one because I kind of felt like he fit this one a little bit more. Obviously, he could have had both, but yeah, I kind of want to split it up a little bit. But yeah, LA Knight just had a huge year. He's probably gonna have another huge year next year. I expect him to at least be like a United States champion or something come next year. Potentially, a world title. Don't really know about that though. But yeah, I'm super excited to see what they do with him.
Yeah, for mine, I have Cody Rhodes. I mean, he's just the face of the company right now. He's pretty much there every single week. He sometimes appears on SmackDown as well. He even showed up on NXT this year. And he's like the perfect company guy. He's following in the footsteps of Cena. We haven't really had a big face company guy in a long time, and he's fitting the role perfectly, and he just plays into that. My second and third pick was LA Knight as well, and also Sami Zayn. Again, he started the year as heel with the Bloodline storyline, but quickly transitioned into the babyface. But next up, we have the best feud. Now, there's a lot of good feuds this year, and who do you have for this one?
So obviously, like you said, there are just so many you could go through. You could even still go to the Bloodline feud if you wanted to. Like you go to the Sami Zayn and Roman. You could go Jimmy versus Jay, even though that hasn't really officially started yet, but it kind of did at the same time. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you could go here. Even with the new angle with Drew and Seth. There's literally so many things you could go. But for me, I went with a guy who I just named recently, and that's Christian Cage and Darby Allin. Just a huge moment. Their blow off match was an Edge return. And yeah, I mean, no one expected that for sure. He had Sting also come out in his match to try to help him. Not that that's a surprise because they do everything together. But still, they're still huge. And yeah, just that match was incredible on I forget which paper, was that Revolution?
Wrestle Dream.
Wrestle Dream. But yeah, it was just an amazing moment for that match, and then everything before and after that is still going. So yeah, it's just been great. I enjoyed it. Darby's one of my favorites. Christian's one of my favorites. So yeah.
Yeah, for my own best feud, I have Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn. Now, this feud really didn't last for too long. However, it made you feel and made you really hope that Sami would just, even though we kind of knew he wasn't going to win, in my opinion, I just had a sliver of hope that he was able to do it. And the match they had was pretty solid, in my opinion. Obviously, a Roman match isn't the best, but still pretty entertaining, especially towards the end of the match. But yeah, just Sami Zayn put his entire heart in every match and every segment he could, and the crowd was behind him, and just everything was just very good. I enjoyed it. My second one was Swerve and Adam Page, just because it felt real at times. Like, obviously Swerve went and invaded Adam Page's house and kind of played and, did stuff in his house. But yeah, I think Roman and Sami Zayn do take the cake for this one. But next up, we have the worst moment. Now, this can really be anything. It can be a match, could be a feud, could be whatever. But what do you have for this one?
So for this one, I have Cody Rhodes losing to Roman at Mania. The story did not finish, but it's also not over. And Mania's around the corner again. So, maybe it's this year.
Yeah, I do understand that people who do think that's a really bad moment, because it was just, everything was set up for the perfect, it was a big moment. And also before the match, he gave the belt to Brody Lee Jr., but unfortunately did get the loss. But similar to you, I do have somebody losing to Roman Reigns, but I have Jey Uso losing to Roman Reigns, not because he actually lost. It's just the way he lost, because Jimmy comes out, pulls him out, and just cost him the match, and we still really don't know why. He kind of said that he didn't want him to be the tribal chief, but let's be honest, that just doesn't make sense. Yeah. But yeah, that's just a weird one. But next up, we have the most excited, and again, this can be anything you really want to be. For me, I have Will Ospreay. In 2024, he just has a lot of potential and a lot of great matches that can be had, and I'm sure he'll have some banger matches. But yeah.
Yeah, and for me, I'm going to have CM Punk versus Seth. Obviously, that's the cool one, but I think even more so than that, I think I'm actually pretty excited to see Jimmy versus Jay. I'm assuming they'll still do that. They kind of went away from it a little bit, but I'm assuming it's because they had so much time in between then and Mania, obviously. So I assume they'll probably start it back up at Rumble time. Maybe Jay eliminates Jimmy or vice versa, whatever it is. But yeah, I'm super excited to see Jay versus Jimmy.
Yep, and next up we have Best Pay-Per-View or PLE. And for me, my number one is WrestleMania 39 Night 1. Just an absolute amazing night of wrestling. The only dud match was the opener match. It was still a cool match because it was John Cena. But you had the likes of the men's showcase match. You had the tag team match main eventing. You had Charlotte and Rhea, who had an amazing match. You had a few funny segments with like the Miz and like Snoop Dogg. So overall, amazing night. My second one would have been Forbidden Door 2 this year. You had the Will Ospreay match and Kenny Omega. You had Danielson versus Okada. So a lot of great matches, but in my opinion, WrestleMania takes the cake.
Yeah, so Forbidden Door was my second pick. But for my first pick, you kind of mentioned it earlier, and that was Elimination Chamber. I mean, that was a big Sammy versus Roman match. Just the big, obviously, the Elimination Chamber matches, and it was just everything that night was just really good, and it was unexpected, I feel like, because usually I feel like Elimination Chambers are kind of predictable because it's the pay-per-view before Mania, so it like doesn't make sense for people to lose titles that night. It doesn't make sense to do like a few different things, you know. And I feel like they kind of swerved the idea a little bit that night. They could have swerved a little bit more and went with Sammy winning, but you know, it is what it is. But all in all, you know, it was just really good. I could have even went Money in the Bank. Seeing Roman get pinned for the first time, not in a singles match, but in a tag team match, obviously. But yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Elimination Chamber.
Yeah. But next up, we have the best promotion. Now, obviously, this is just a 2-horse race because we only have 2 picks. But for you, who do you have?
Yeah, I'm obviously gonna go with WWE. I think they kind of came out on top this year. They got Jade Cargill from AEW. They got CM Punk back from AEW. Randy Orton made his return. Kairi Sane made a return. There's just so many people in WWE right now that are stars or like right on the verge of being a star. There's still NXT call-ups coming up that I feel like are gonna be stars, like a Tiffany Stratton, like a Carmelo Hayes, potentially a Trick, Ilias even. But there's just a lot of talent in WWE right now. Not that there's not a lot in AEW, obviously. But I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little biased because I'm a WWE guy, but yeah.
Yeah, I went the same as well. WWE, I think, not only everything you mentioned, but also their pay-per-views this year has probably been their best streak of pay-per-views or PLEs. Everything they really did. The product was good on TV as well. Obviously, it was a bit, repetitive on times with the Judgment Day and the Cody and Good Guys, but overall, still a pretty good year for WWE, and obviously AEW had an amazing year as well. But next up, we have the best weekly show, and for me, I have Monday Night Raw. The only complaints I have about Raw was just the repetitiveness of the Judgment Day, and like I said, them going against some of the good guys on the roster, and also just it's a lot of recaps and a lot of just going back to the night, which it was like they come back from commercial break and they tell you what just happened. It's like a bit annoying at times, but overall, I think match-wise, it had the best.
No. And for my weekly show, I have WCW Nitro. No, I have Raw as well. Pretty much everything you said. Not too much to add to that. At the end of the year, like you said, a little repetitive. But but it is what it is. They still made it fun, even though it was repetitive. They still made it fun each night, and they tried to make it different while still having the same people on. And I feel like the payoff was worth it because I feel like everyone's bigger now than where they were then. So it worked, you know.
Yeah, and my number 2 would have been Dynamite. I think they also had a lot of great matches, and probably for a match-to-match basis, they probably did have the better matches. But I think Raw mainly did a better job of progressing storylines and just making you more excited for the next week because they always hype up their next week matches. So, but yeah. Next up, we have the best match. Now, this is a big one because there's a lot of great matches this year. And who do you have?
Alright, so for me, I have 2 picks, and my first one is Gunther for Sheamus versus Drew at Mania. Just an amazing match. Literally, it felt like anyone could win it. Literally, it was just so good. Probably, like some people say, match of Mania, like day 1 and 2. And obviously, for good reason it is, because it's my match of the year.
Yeah.
But my other pick would have been, I mentioned it earlier, but Usos versus the Bloodline at Money in the Bank. Roman gets pinned cleanly. So, yeah.
Yeah, for mine, I wanted to get a WWE match really bad, but my top 3 matches are all AEW. My number 3 was Bryan Danielson versus Zack Sabre Jr. at Wrestle Dream. Just a phenomenal technical match that I really enjoyed. My number 2 is also a Bryan Danielson match, which is his match versus MJF at Revolution, the big Iron Man match that went to the overtime. I really enjoyed that as well. But my number 1 is Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega at Forbidden Door. Now, I would have went with Ospreay and Omega at Wrestle Kingdom. However, we're only doing AEW and WWE, and technically that doesn't count. So, yeah. But their Forbidden Door match was also amazing. Just they do a really good job of just showing that, or at least it feels like they really hate each other, and they just hit each other harder than they do with other people, and the spots in there was amazing. So, yeah, I really enjoyed that match. But next up, we have the best tag team. Now, for this one, I struggled to get like a third pick just because it felt like 2 teams were like the runaways. But my number 1 is FTR. They took a few months off. I think they came back in like April, but besides that, they've been consistently great throughout the entire year. They had a great match at All In. They had a great match with Jay White and Juice Robinson on the Collision. And yeah, they've just been great all year.
No. Yeah, that's my pick as well. FTR. Everything you said. I mean, they're one of the best tag teams in the world. This whole CMFTR thing, as you mentioned as well, they just had a great year at AEW. I've seen some rumors recently that they potentially could be working towards their way to WWE, but they also just signed the deal, so it's kind of like a weird thing going on with them right now. I don't know how true any of the rumors are, obviously. But yeah, FTR, just an amazing year. If I didn't pick them, they're technically not a team, but they're a team. But I'd probably say House of Black.
Yeah, my number 2 would have been like Sammy and Owens. Just like, even though it didn't last very long and they didn't have a very good title reign, the story and just the connection, in my opinion, was always there. And when they did have matches, and I did really enjoy them. Yeah. But yeah, moving on to the penultimate award, we have Best Women's Wrestler. And for me, I have Rhea Ripley. I think she has become a bigger star than she ever has been. She's had phenomenal matches ever since winning the belt. And yeah, even though she has been not defending it as much as I would like her to, overall her character work has been progressing every week on Raw, and you still see her every week on Raw. But yeah, my number 2 would have been Io. My number 3 would have been Athena from Ring of Honor and AEW. She's been very underrated. I don't think a lot of people give her credit for what she's been doing. The entire thing she had with the Minions in Training with Billy Starks, and I think Lexi Gray, I think her name is. But yeah, really enjoyed her work this year as well.
Yeah, so for me, I have Io Sky winning. Pretty much all the same reasons you said about Rhea, you could just apply to Io. She was my feel-good moment of the year, as I mentioned earlier. New champion. Everyone wanted her to become champion, and she's done great with it since then. She's almost like a leader of Damage Control, kind of, since becoming champion. Bayley's kind of getting kicked to the curb, and she was the leader before, and now it seems like it's Io. But yeah, and if I wasn't going with her, I'd probably go Toni Storm. She just had just an amazing just launch. Not even too recent, too far back either. Like literally, what, 4, 5, 6 months ago?
Past like 2 months, 3 months. Yeah.
Nah, but even before, like the character like developed, she was still like doing really good with Paige and whatnot, or with Saraya, I don't know, whatever, Paige. But yeah, just her character development over the past few months has just been incredible, and she's just like one of the most over people in AEW right now. Period. Not just women, but period, in all of AEW. But yeah, the character switch from her WWE times to what she is now is just like night and day, literally. She's still very good in the ring as well. She never disappoints you there. She was champion, wasn't champion, was champion. Who knows anymore with the AEW Women's Division. But I assume she'll probably win it back.
Which has about right now.
Yeah, that's what I mean. She'll probably lose it and win it back like throughout the year. Throughout the years coming, because AEW. But yeah, big moment though for her. But my pick is Io though. Yeah.
And the final award is the best men's wrestler. Now, obviously, for my pick, it's probably the second biggest star in wrestling right now, or like at least top 5, I would say, and that's MJF. I just think he's had a phenomenal year, starting with the Adam Cole storyline, but you also have the Bryan Danielson feud. You now have a Samoa Joe feud. You have the Devil thing, which I'm not too much of a fan. I'm still just waiting to see the payoff of it, but obviously we'll probably get that in the next year or at World's End. But yeah, I think he's had phenomenal matches. He's really improved as well. Like, even last year, he was still at moments you're like, okay, he's really good, but he's probably not. It's probably like a fluke or something like that. But this year, he's just solidified himself as one of the best of just this generation right now. My number 2 would have been Gunther, just because I love him and has phenomenal matches in and out, and in ring wise, he's probably one of the best as well.
Yeah. All right, and then for me, I have Kenny Omega. He was just consistently on damn near every pay-per-view. It felt like every every televised show. He was just everywhere. Unfortunately, recently got injured, so hopefully he gets well soon. But yeah, he just had an amazing year. Great matches, as always. But yeah, just a great year for him in general, and I think that he'll get paid off for it even more going forward next year with Will Ospreay being in the company. He has like another person who's like his same like caliber, if not better, that could get his bounce ideas off of and learn from, and vice versa with Will Ospreay, you know.
Yeah, and Will Ospreay would have been my pick, but however, he just wasn't signed with AEW, and he hasn't had any AEW matches, even though he had the Forbidden Door match. But I really enjoyed his work this year. He's had phenomenal matches throughout the entire year, but I think MJF just takes the cake. But that is the second annual Wrestling Junkie Awards. Let us know your picks down in the comments below. If you made it this far, make sure to like and subscribe, and we will catch you guys in the next video.